Bhushan, Padma Shri, Arjuna and Dronacharya awardee Telangana. Mr. Pulela Gopchand is a former international badminton player and the chief national coach of India. He won the All England Open Badminton Championship in 2001, becoming the only second Indian to do so. He later founded the Gopi Chand Badminton Academy in Hyderabad, which has produced Olympic medalists such as Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu. Widely regarded as a transformative figure in Indian badminton, he has been instrumental in building athlete development systems and high-performance infrastructure. Thank you so much for joining in. We have with us Miss Jwala Gupta, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, founder Jwala Gupta Academy of Excellence. Yes, Miss Jwala Gupta is one of India's most accomplished badminton players and a trailblazer in doubles badminton. Over her illustrious career, she has won over 19 national titles and achieved Commonwealth Games and multiple medals at the Asian Championships, the Uber Cup and the BWF Grand Prix events. As India's top doubles specialist for over a decade, she played a pivotal role in popularizing women's doubles and mixed doubles in the country. She is a recipient of the prestigious Arjuna Award. Ms. Gupta has consistently championed athlete rights, gender equality in sports, and better training infrastructure in India. She is the founder of the Jwala Gupta Academy of Excellence in Hyderabad, a high-performance training center dedicated to nurturing young badminton talent with world-class coaching and sports science support. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. And now we have with us PV Sindhu, Olympic medalist, Padma Bhushan awardee. Ms. PV Sindhu is one of India's most celebrated badminton players. She is the first Indian woman to win 2 Olympic medals, a silver at the Rio 2016 Olympics and a bronze at Tokyo 2020. A multiple World Championship medalist, she became the first Indian to win the BWF World Championships in 2019. Her achievements at the Commonwealth Games, Asian Games and numerous international tournaments have firmly established her as a global badminton icon, a recipient of the Arjuna Award, Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan. Ms. Sindhu has significantly contributed to India's rise in world badminton. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moderator of this wonderful session, which is Telangana's Olympic Gold Quest, is Mr. Boria Mazumdar, sports historian and author, founder, Rev Sports, and he's our moderator for today. Let me just tell you all a few lines on him. Mr. Boria Mazumdar is one of India's leading sports historians, journalists and authors, known for his extensive research and influential commentary on Indian and global sport. With a DPhil from University of Oxford, he has authored several acclaimed books covering cricket, the Olympic movement, the socio-cultural evolution of sport in India. His writings and interviews have shaped public understanding of sports policy, athlete journeys, and the country's sports legacy. He is the founder of Rev Sports, a digital sports media platform dedicated to athlete-centric storytelling, in-depth analysis, and grassroots sport coverage. And over the years, Dr. Mazumdar has hosted numerous high-profile sports shows and has been a prominent voice in the major international events, bringing expert insights and historical context to audiences across the world. And today he is here in Hyderabad, and he will be moderating this wonderful session. So thank you so much, Mr. Boria. I hand over this.
Yes, I'll do that.
I also take the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Ambati Raidu, famous cricketer, person who has been involved in many memorable victories of the Indian cricket team. And thank you, Mr. Raidu, for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambati Raidu. Please speak a few words.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to our Honourable Sports Minister. We have also got the Chairman of the Sports Authority with us. Introductions have been given. And Anil has a hard stop in 5 to 6 minutes because of the aviation crisis. So I will go to Anil with the first question. The way I will do this panel, we will go to all our panelists, very free-flowing World Economic Forum style, try to understand what Telangana sport and their vision means to this state. How can we actually fulfill the Olympic gold quest, and now cricket is part of the Olympic Games. So that's what I will do over the next 35 odd minutes. So Anil, without further ado, you've signed an MOU with the state. You've now seen the way sport is evolving. I've read Jayesh's stuff about 2036, trying to be part of every sports discipline at the Olympic Games. You've adopted schools, so your vision for this particular project.
Thank you, Boria. Good morning, everyone. It's indeed wonderful to be here amongst such icons. Unfortunately, I have to leave early, so thank you. For us, I have a company called Tenvic Sports, and for us to associate with Telangana Rising has been wonderful. The state, like we all meet here, new infrastructure is going to come up, a new city is going to come up, and the vision is to, of course, have medalists, Olympic medalists come 2036. For that, I think the most important aspect is to look at the grassroots sports, and we've been working at the grassroots level for over 15 years in various states and of course schools to look at grassroots sports and give them the right kind of guidance. Here in Telangana, we have looked at 5 different disciplines where it's not just about training kids in different sports, but also look at the other important aspect of training coaches, because I think that's the critical aspect which generally gets missed out, and that's something that we are looking at. And of course, the infrastructure is going to come up, and the existing infrastructure that's available today will also start getting used. And I think in terms of looking at developing grassroots sports, the moment you start increasing the numbers at the bottom, then the competitiveness gets better, and that's something that will certainly ensure and enable that the academies that all these icons run will eventually then get the results. So all we are trying to do is increase the number of participants in every sport, give them the right kind of training, and then allow them to develop into the center of excellence, and of course hopefully go on to get laurels for India and win medals. And that's the whole purpose of getting involved, and I'm really happy that the state has really looked at someone like us to come in and enable that for the state. The other important aspect, if you look at globally as well, from an Indian perspective as to how the sporting industry in India is developing as well. If you look at the recent Deloitte and Google report, which got released earlier in the year, by 2030, India is going to be a $120 billion opportunity for sports in the sporting ecosystem. So there's a lot of interest, and I'm really happy that the state is also looking to develop sport and bring in expertise like us to come in and be a part and be a partner in this development. So I'm really happy to be a part of this, and I wish the government all the very best. And this is a great day to be here and to see at the kind of infrastructure that you see here, which probably is just the foundation for a larger city that's going to come up here. Thank you.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, sport is all about timing, and it's 11:19. Anil had said 11:20 for a hard stop, as far as I'm concerned. So put your hands together. 619 test wickets. Today he had to unfortunately play T20 with us because of the aviation crisis, and because IPL is the flavor of the season. So thanks, Jayesh ji. What we are doing is we are replacing Anil with impact player in Ambati Raidu. So that's precisely what we are doing. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Anil Kumble. Ambati, why don't you come here? We've just had a substitution, and Ambati joins us as
Mr.
impact.
Anil Kumble, I request you to please remain on stage for a felicitation. I request our Honourable Minister for Sports and Youth Services, Government of Telangana, Shri Vakri Srihari Garu, to kindly please present a token of appreciation, a memento. Yes, to Mr. Anil Kumble. Shri Swapna Reddy Garu, Chairman Sports Authority of Telangana, joining in, and also our Special Chief Secretary to Government, Industries and Investment, CMO, CEO Speed, and YAT&C Sports Department, Jay Sanjan ji, also joining in. Thank you. All right, one group photo opportunity for our friends from press and media. Telangana Rising Global Summit 2025, ladies and gentlemen. This is the long-term economic and governance vision of Telangana Rising 2047, and we are continuing with the panel discussion, Telangana's Olympic Gold Quest. I hand it over once again to our moderator, Mr. Mazumdar.
Thank you. Can I have, thanks Anil. Kindly settle down because we've got to go on with the panel and some very, very distinguished speakers. Let me go to Gopi. You know, it's very rare, perhaps, I've not seen this in my 30 years of covering sport, that there is one academy which has produced 40 international medals. Pulela Gopichand Academy, 40 international medals, including Olympic Games, Asian Games, Commonwealth and multiple others. Gopi, you keep talking about physical literacy. It's not just about any high-performance sport. And what I see in Telangana is this emphasis on physical literacy. So your vision for Telangana sport in the years to come.
States already, and of course we are willing to do more with keeping in mind Telangana as a state in center.
Fantastic. So I hope you do more stuff in Telangana. Clearly your vision is global and it's multi-sport, and that's something that appeals to me. Sindhu, coming to you, I've covered you practically all your career, whether it's Rio, whether it's Tokyo, despite COVID. I remember that jersey that you had to give me with that 6 feet distance, and you actually sprayed perfume so that, and I was confused what you were trying to do. You went inside, sprayed perfume and signed it for me. So fond memories, but you know, as we are calling it Telangana's Olympic Gold Quest, you've been there, done that. You fulfilled that gold quest in 16 with Gopi, in 21 in Tokyo. So if there's one message that you want to talk about to the younger women who are picking up a racket or a cricket bat or playing soccer or boxing, take Nikhat, or a tennis racket like Sania, what is it that you are seeing in Telangana or you want to see? Sindhu.
Well, a very good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, Boria, I think to mention that, yeah, it was my jersey which I've played, so that's why I had to do a perfume on that and I'll give it to you. But definitely, yes, fond memories. Yeah, I think the most important thing is, as many of them mentioned here already, I think, you know, grassroots levels is where something we'll all have to start off with. But I think the most important thing also where it starts with is the support system when it comes to, you know, the coaching and the way they're coaching the athletes. I mean, there are coaches, there are trainers, there are SNCs who are actually coaching, but it needs to be very uniform in such a way that every athlete gets the importance. And I know there are a lot of academies, a lot of stadiums, but I would say, it needs to be focused on every academy and every stadium where every athlete gets the equal importance. I think that's where athletes come up. And when I say grassroots levels, yes, initially they start off and then there are coaches everywhere. But I think when the kids are growing up, that's when you need to make sure the foundation is very strong. And I think that's where I say, the support system when it comes to a coach or an SNC, because every athlete is different. Every athlete, they might think differently. They might need different things. For example, one might be stronger in a particular skill. Another might be weak in, let's say, in their strength or their endurance. So that is when I say each one needs to get a very good importance in terms of a particular SNC and a coach. So I think that here, being here, of course, I'm very privileged to be here today and talking about the Telangana Rising Global Summit. I think I can say that CM sir has been very kind enough to be very supportive towards sport, and I'm really looking forward, in the next coming years, it will be really good. And of course, I have so much of experience in sports now, and sport has taught me so much, and I think for me it's time to give back to the sport, and definitely would give my best to give my thoughts and share my experiences whenever required. So of course I'm sure it will definitely be a very good state where to have a good stadiums and of course good athletes to come up and get medals for the nation and for the country as well.
You know what, 2016, after she won the medal, and India had won 2, if you remember, Sakshi and Sindhu, about 2-3 months later, almost every day there was a felicitation. I remember meeting Sindhu and I asked, you are the toast of the country, what has changed? And she said to me, and I remember that statement, that yes, my life has changed, people's perception of me has changed, money and everything and fame, but I haven't changed as a person. Ladies and gentlemen, PV Sindhu. Azhar bhai.
జితేందర్ రెడ్డి గారిని సాధారణంగా వేదిక మీకు ఆహ్వానిస్తా ఉన్నాం. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. Azhar bhai, yesterday night also when you and I were chatting and I asked you this question, I ask again. When I see, firstly, your career, legendary cricketer, made a difference, one of our favorites, know you from 1986, 85, 86, that tour, 300s. But now, let me ask you a specific question. After the Women's World Cup, Mithali Raj, Arundhati Reddy, Sri Charani, the tradition is here. Are you planning something special to give the fillip to the women's game in Telangana? Because according to me, the opportunities are endless. And while we say that it's a level playing field, it's not. Match fees are the same. Central contract, 7 crores for men, 50 lakhs for women. So there is a big gap there. Are you, and the grassroots, practically no money. Are you going to sort of do something special in the light of the Women's World Cup to give a fillip to the women's game? Mohammad Azharuddin.
I think, Boria, the Telangana has produced many women players who have won a lot of medals. 2 are already here. And then Sania is there, and Saina Nehwal is there now. Nikhat Zareen also, they've got a lot of medals. So there is a lot of encouragement for women in Telangana. And they've won a lot of medals also. But I think the grassroots level thing, I'm also very in favor of grassroots level. But at the same time, I think what happens is, even if you pick people at the grassroots level, first you have to look at the skill. If you don't have the skill in a particular sport which you are picking up, then there's no point going ahead with the player. Because I remember about 3 or 4 years back, and I took somebody to Gopi's academy, and he looked at that person and he said, no, it's not possible that he's going to play big badminton matches. So that's what we need from players, from coaches also. Because I think when you have the skill, then only all these things come up. Dedication, application, everything, hard work. If you don't have the skill, even if I have a skill to play cricket, then if I start playing football, then I'll be wasting my time and wasting everybody's time. So I think the Telangana Sports Hub also has been created by the Honorable Chief Minister, who is also a very avid sportsman. He plays a lot of football, and you will definitely see him in action on the 13th when he's going to play with one of my favorite players, Lionel Messi. And I think Telangana has already done a lot and it's going to do well, because with this new future city which is coming up, there will be a lot of facilities. Because when I was growing up, when I was playing, there were hardly any facilities. We played on very, very different grounds. I want to tell you something, that I'm very, very lucky that I have not been injured very badly. I mean, the grounds we played and the wickets we played without helmets, everything, as a youngster, I'm very lucky. I mean, if you ask me to play now, I will not play, because it's not good. Because the facilities now have improved. I think you have a lot of coaches who are really very, very good. And then if you see, I mean, especially in the cricket, you have more staff traveling than the players. If I'm right, I would definitely say about that. And I think the facilities are very good. And the platform is there for the players, but how well they use that platform. I mean, winning a gold medal, and it's not very easy, and an Olympic medal actually, Sindhu has already done that, and Jwala is also here, and Gopi Bhai is already, I mean, won the All England badminton. So I'm a very avid sports watcher. I mean, I like watching sports, but I think the most important thing I want to tell is that if you find somebody who's very skillful, who's very good, please take care of all his problems, starting from family till he goes up. Because what happens is, there are so many players who come up, they have a lot of family problems. Okay. They want to, I mean, their parents, a lot of pressure is there on the parent. They want their son to do something, get a job, and then get their sister get married, all the things. If you find somebody who's exceptionally well, you please take care of all his things. Just tell him, go and play. Don't worry about what is happening. That is the one thing we should do it. Because if you do that, you'll get many, many players. Because most of the players, they just fall away because of this problem.
Okay. So opportunity. If you try and understand what Azhar was talking about, opportunity, and that's what brings me to Jwala. Jwala, to see a summit like this mainstream sport, this is clear mainstreaming sport. We've seen in India, various states, if there are convocations, congregations like this, sport is a silo. It's like, okay, there will be one panel, 20 minutes at the end of the day. Here, it's mainstream. Whether it's the CM's vision of bringing in corporates and sports people together, whether we are seeing what we are seeing on the dais. In your case, the word that was used for you, trailblazer. When you started out, no facilities whatsoever, to win a world championship medal in 2011, to be the best in the world in doubles, Commonwealth Games gold, and now, what are the changes, Jwala, you are seeing in Telangana that will enable the next Jwala Gutta to come up, pick up a badminton racket and make a mark?
Hi, good morning everyone. What I feel is that, I was lucky to have a coach like Arif sir. I think he was a consistent coach whom I trained under. And that's what I feel. I feel we are not doing enough for the coaches. Every time when the sports is mentioned, we just think about the athletes and who are going to win the medals. But I think there are a lot of work which is done behind. Everybody, I'm sure everyone agrees, a good support system which includes coaches is not what we are focusing on. I think we need to, the sports policies have to mention the welfare of the coaches. I still hear that a lot of coaches are still under contract and they still struggle and don't have permanent jobs. I think that is very, very important. We need to support the coaching. People who are interested in coaching, take care of, because that's their bread and butter. And if you want them to focus on the athletes and to bring medals, we need a good, system for coaches and see that they don't struggle. And I think I was lucky to train under Arif sir, and I had a consistent coaching and support system from Arif sir, and that's why I think I could, even dream of doing something big. So I think I'll be really happy if the sports policies include coaches' welfare and uplift them. I always believe this, that good coaches, you'll definitely have good players. And Gopi Bhaiya is an example. you know. So encourage other coaches, give them the stability and hold them, and give them the incentives which we as players get, you know, and then I'm sure they will work hard towards. I think that's what is the missing link, is what I feel in our system. We don't talk about our coaches much.
That's a brilliant point. Taking care of the coaches. Yesterday, Gopi and I were sitting in his academy, and all of a sudden, and here, once again, ladies and gentlemen, these are important points. Telangana as a young state taking the lead.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I want that our coaching system should become so strong that we don't depend on foreign coaches.
Absolutely.
In future.
Absolutely. So, yesterday, and this actually brings me to this point, we were sitting and there were a few Mizo kids training out there. And I asked him, tell me a little bit more about these kids. And eventually I get to know that there are 10 Mizo coaches now working as part of the academy. So it's not just doing for Telangana, it's also doing for the rest of India. So Telangana taking the lead there, that's brilliant. So absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a state showing the way for the rest of the country. Stand out. Ambati, all of us are talking about coaches. You've just finished a career, accomplished cricketer, so much achievement. I'm going to give it back. Coaching, what's the thought? If there's one thing that you want to do as a possible coach, making a difference to the ecosystem in your state, what would that be?
Coming from Hyderabad, I've played here, I've grown up here, I've played junior cricket for Hyderabad. So Hyderabad has always had extraordinary talent. To nurture the talent, as Ajubhai said, we need very good infrastructure, very good coaches, and most importantly, I think coaching has to, develop a mindset to make sure, especially as a player, once you are transitioning into a coach, it is very, very important to put the player's priority first. So it's never about yourself, and especially coming from a team sport. I think sport as a whole, I feel, unites the community, unites a city like Hyderabad. People from various corners of the country come and live in Hyderabad, and in a team, we have people from different communities, different castes, different religions. It all brings together, and I feel the unison is what I feel is the greatest aspect of sport, and that is what Hyderabad should strive towards. And also, most importantly, what I feel, having played the sport for 30 years, is the sport is slowly transitioning towards, people who have money. I think it is very, very important for the government to have a policy where even if a person who is talented has nothing and, is a poor man, still should have the facilities that are world class for him to, thrive and also come up, because that is very, very important. Because as you grow up, as Ajubhai would rightly say, we all have grown up with absolutely nothing. But today that is not the case, and I think it is very, very important to, for the government to have a look at that.
Okay, again, so grassroots, facilities, there's a chain that we are talking about. So that's kind of uniting this panel on stage. Let me come to you, sir. As the chairman of the Sports Authority, and by the way, one thing that is missing as part of this panel, but again, Telangana has addressed that. As the moderator, it's my job to put that out. We are all celebrating able-bodied athletes here. Yesterday in Gopi's Academy, I met Deepthi Jivanji. Para-sport is something, disability sport, sensitivity, that's something that once again Telangana is taking a lead in. So Paralympic Games, para-sport, disability sport is something that I'm seeing being taken care of in this state, which as an analyst, as a scholar of sport, I don't see that happen. So when I see Telangana, I see cricket, I see football, I see table tennis, I see badminton, I see boxing, I see Paralympic sport. So clearly, I see a holistic vision. Your thoughts on that?
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. తెలంగాణ ముఖ్యమంత్రి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి గారు వీటన్నింటి మీద అంటే గతంలో దాంతో పోలిస్తే చాలా మటుకు ఉమ్మడి ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్లో ఉండే దాంతో పోలిస్తే తెలంగాణ వచ్చిన తర్వాత ముఖ్యమంత్రి రేవంత్ రెడ్డి గారు స్పెషల్ స్పోర్ట్స్ మీద ప్రత్యేక టార్గెట్ పెట్టి స్పోర్ట్స్ని ఎంకరేజ్ చేస్తే ఈ హెల్దీ తెలంగాణ అంటే ప్రతి ఒక్కరూ హెల్త్గా ఉండాలంటే ఫస్ట్ స్పోర్ట్స్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఆ స్పోర్ట్స్కు ఏర్పాటు చేయాలి అని అంటే ఫస్ట్ గ్రాస్ రూట్ లెవెల్ నుంచి మొదలు పెట్టాలని సీఎం కప్ను మొదలు పెట్టడం జరిగింది. అది విలేజ్ లెవెల్ నుంచి, మండల్ లెవెల్ నుంచి, అదేవిధంగా డిస్టిక్ లెవెల్, స్టేట్ లెవెల్ వరకు తీసుకురావడం జరిగింది. అదేవిధంగానే కోచెస్ కొరత చాలా మటుకు ఉండే గతంలో. ఇప్పుడు ఆ కోచెస్ని కూడా స్పెషల్ కేసు తీసుకొని స్పెషల్గా కొత్త కోచెస్ని కూడా తీసుకురావడం జరుగుతూ ఉంది. దాంతోపాటు ఇందాక వీళ్ళు ఇచ్చిన సజెషన్స్తో పాటు వీటన్నింటినీ రాబోయే రోజుల్లో పెద్ద ఎత్తున తీసుకోవడానికి అందరం ముందుకు పోతున్నాం. ముఖ్యమంత్రి గారి విజన్, అదేవిధంగా మినిస్టర్ గారి విజన్, జయేష్ రంజన్ గారు కానీ, సోనిబాల గారు కానీ, జితేందర్ రెడ్డి గారు కానీ, అంటే ఎంటైర్ తెలంగాణలో ఇందాక చెప్పినట్లు ఇండియా నుంచి ఒలింపిక్స్లో ఒక్క గోల్డ్ మెడల్ సాధించలేకపోయినామని ఒక బాధ ఉంది. నెక్స్ట్ ఇండియా మొత్తంలో తెలంగాణ నుంచి ద బెస్ట్ ప్లేయర్స్ని తయారు చేసే విధంగా ఈరోజు కార్యాచరణ సిద్ధం చేస్తున్నాం. దానికి ముఖ్యంగా కావాల్సింది గ్రౌండ్స్. ఆ గ్రౌండ్స్ మీద ఇప్పుడు కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ చేసింది స్పోర్ట్స్ అథారిటీ ఆఫ్ తెలంగాణ. డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ లెవెల్స్ అండ్ స్టేట్ లెవెల్లో ఉండేటువంటి గ్రౌండ్స్ కంప్లీట్ చేసుకొని నెక్స్ట్ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ లెవెల్ అండ్ విలేజ్ లెవెల్లో కూడా గ్రౌండ్స్ ఏర్పాటు చేయాలి. దానికి కావాల్సినటువంటి మినిమం అంటే ఏ విలేజ్లో ఏ స్పోర్ట్స్ మీద ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్గా ఉన్నారు అన్నది మన సీఎం కప్ ద్వారా ఒక లిస్ట్ అవుట్ తయారు చేసినాం. ఎవ్రీ విలేజ్లో అంటే ఒక అథ్లెటిక్స్ కానీ చాలామంది ప్లేయర్స్ దాదాపు 3.5 lakh పీపుల్స్లో 450 అంటే స్ట్రాంగ్ క్రీమ్ని ఈరోజు తీసుకురాగలిగినాం. వాళ్ళందరికీ ఇప్పుడు స్పెషల్ ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చి నెక్స్ట్ వాళ్ళని ద బెస్ట్గా తయారు చేయాలన్న ఆలోచనతో తెలంగాణ గవర్నమెంట్ ముందుకు పోతా ఉంది. వన్స్ అగైన్ మరొకసారి మీ అందరికీ ధన్యవాదాలు. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Okay, so I was just asking Ambati to try and translate for me my deficiency. And again, it pleases me to know the plan for the districts and the grassroots. Because you've created a clear pyramid, and that is what pleases me no end. Jitendra ji, as advisor to the sports department, if there's one thing that if you tell me that, okay, it's an Olympic gold quest leading up to 2030 Commonwealth Games or the 2036 Olympic Games, as Vita said, fingers crossed if India wins the bid, if there's one thing that you want to see, what I also think is Telangana should host a sport, because now it's no longer a city's games, it's a country's games. So if India gets it, whichever city hosts it, Telangana should also be a part of the overall thing, because that's what the IOC mandate is. But tell me, Jitendra ji, if there's one thing that you want to see over the next 4-5 years happen in your state, what is it?
Thank you very much, and the participant here. Very good morning to you all. As you see that today in the rising Telangana, we have a very important role which is playing, that is sports. The earlier government last 10 years had totally neglected it, and we really didn't have funds also to run our sports and really see that our sportsmen had to participate in their games and all. But now, as we have got enthusiastic Chief Minister and as well as a very good Principal Secretary, Mr. Jyesh Ranjan, who is also taking up a lot of efforts into bringing sports back into Telangana, and we have got a enthusiastic sports minister, Mr. Srihari, Waket Srihari, and as well as a very good chairman here. And under their rule, now sports is really shining. As you see, many events in the last 2 years have occurred in Hyderabad, like the international football and the badminton matches and the hockey matches. And today, yesterday we had a supercross motorcycle competitions, and now on the 13th we are getting Messi also into Hyderabad. There is a lot of craze now because of the efforts from the government and as well as our Chief Minister. And with the efforts of our Principal Secretary, Mr. Jyesh Ranjan, we had released our sports policy, where sports policy has been released, and now he also has crafted a university for already our, I can see our Vice Chancellor sitting in front of us, who has, I think, resumed his duty just 2 days back. And we have got a lot of hope that as myself, Mr. Jyesh Ranjan, Mr. Shiv Sena, we all had visited Brisbane, Australia, the universities and all, and have seen the sports universities. Definitely, we hope that this Telangana University will be one of the best universities for the sportsmen here. And not only that, we have a FIFA Academy, which have been given for the first time for the girls also here, which is the first time in India, which has been not only India, I think it's the second in the world also. And now coming to, as you have said, that the events which have to be happen. As a sports advisor, and I am also the Olympic Association state president here. With this, we are meeting a lot of people in the central. We have met Mansukh Mandiaji, who is the sports minister in Delhi, and have requested him for Khelo India. As you have seen that we already have a good infrastructure in Hyderabad. Like we have already done the nationals here in 2022, and we have done the military games. The World Military Games were conducted in Hyderabad. So with a lovely infrastructure which we have here, we have asked them for Khelo India, and I'm sure that very shortly it will be announced for us. And also we have met recently PT Ushaji, and have asked for the national games also to be allotted to us. So these type of events in which we are going ahead and we are progressing onto that, and events after events we are trying to make in Telangana, so that the past glory which we had in Telangana as for the sports will come up, and definitely in the Commonwealth Games, lot of our participants will participate. I think our great Azharuddin, who is a cricket player and a well-known stalwart in Hyderabad, has now again come back into the field. Sindhu is here, Jwala is here, Gopichand is here. With all their experiences and all, we think that Telangana will again rise, and it's already rising, and it will definitely reach the sun. That is what I think. Thank you very much.
Nice. One could have continued, this is a panel with which you can continue for hours. But obviously there's another panel to follow, and you've got a whole day packed events. The one point that I'll take from Jitenderji is the link between sport and education. Having taught in universities across the world, whether it's Loughborough, whether it's Toronto, whether it's Chicago, I will tell you that the sports facilities, the integration between academia and sport is something that is lacking in India. So I'm absolutely delighted in seeing this initiative to do a sports university. One story from me, and then I'll close with Jayesh Ranjanji and our Honorable Minister. For me, what is sport? What does sport teach all of us? Sport teaches all of us to lose. Because every loss is a stepping stone to success. This day, for example, ladies and gentlemen, is not a perfect day. Nothing is perfect. But the quest for all of us is to be perfect in an imperfect day. And that's what sport teaches us. Take the example of Nikhat Zareen. Good to give you, because a localite, and she's not here. So I'll tell you a 30-second Nikhat story and close with Jayeshji and our minister. So when Nikhat started boxing, there was no facility here in Hyderabad. So she goes there and comes home with a black eye. So her mother says, "Shadi nahi hoga. Iske baad to family mein problem ho jayega." So somehow she continues to box, and she says, "Jab main world championship jeet jaungi, uske baad दूल्हों का line lag jayega, aap dekh lena." So she goes on, wins the world championship in the US, and the previous night she once again had a black eye in training. Now she gets on a call with her mother, and the mother sees the black eye and said, "What happened?" And she said, "Oh, training mein ho gaya." She said, "Koi farak nahi padta, aisa hota rehta hai, kal theek ho jayega." That's the change. That is the Telangana rising that I want to see. And now, with every Nikhat Zareen bout, it's her mother sitting in the first row and shouting, "Mar or Mar." That is the Telangana of tomorrow. The dominance, the lead, the leadership, and as I see, optimism. Jayeshji, the one thing that you want to accomplish, being in a position of authority, what is the one thing that you want to tell my audience today that you want to see happen here in the next couple of years?
Thank you. Thank you, Boria, for moderating a very interesting panel. So, all the while we have spoken about sports persons and athletes who are serious, who can be groomed and nurtured, and hopefully they represent the country and bring glory. But I also want to emphasize on behalf of the government that we also want to promote a culture of fitness. So whether you become champion athletes or not, even for recreation purposes, play some sports, remain active. And of course, you began the panel by discussing physical literacy. So this again is an important thing. And schools are going to be the focal points. When you are young student, this ambition, this hope that's becoming active and trying to do well in some sport is as important as doing good in studies. So that is again an important priority for us.
Brilliant. Minister Saab, you started the show, so why don't you tell me, because ultimately this is a world where we see wars, we see negativity, we see toxicity, but when it's sport, it unites us all. Do we know what religion? We don't care. Do we know what caste? We don't care. Gender? We don't care. Sport ultimately is real. It brings all of us together. Your final words.
Thank you. बात रह गई है जब अज्जू भाई और हमारा ज़माना था, जब खेलने ग्राउंड जाते तो पापा मम्मी ने लकड़ी लेके आते थे, दे मारते थे, पहले पढ़ बाद में खेल भी बंद कर। आज ऐसा चेंज हुआ, अगर आज बच्चे लोग पढ़ने जा रहे क्या के लिए पढ़ते, पहले जाके खेल, मतलब इतना चेंज हो गया सोचने में। और मैं ये मंच से जो बड़े बड़े यहाँ पे स्टार्स बैठे हुए हैं, हमारे चेयरमैन साहब हैं, हमारे एडवाइजरी वेरी एसोसिएशन प्रेसिडेंट भी है तेलंगाना का, और जयेश रंजन सर भी है, मैं सब ये मन से मैं मैसेज देना चाहता हूँ। आजकल बच्चे लोग जो दिल लगा के नहीं खेलते हैं, एक बात याद रखना, आप बहुत किस्मत वाले भी हैं और बदकिस्मत वाले भी हैं। किस्मत इसलिए कि आपके पेरेंट्स आपको एनकरेज कर रहे हैं खेलने के लिए, बदकिस्मती इसलिए वो जो जुनून होना है प्लेयर को, जो इन्वॉल्वमेंट होना है प्लेयर को, जो जिंदगी अगर गेम बन के अगर नहीं जी पाया, नहीं खेल पाया, आजकल शौक ज़्यादा हो गया, वो अच्छा ड्रेस पहनता है तो कोई देखता रहता है, दोस्त फोटो खींचता नहीं खींचता करके, और खेलते समय उसके दिमाग में क्या रहता है, मेरे गेम कोई देख रहा नहीं देख रहा करके, अरे सब मेरे बारे में कुछ बात कर रहे नहीं कर रहे, उसका सोच रह जाता है। तो मैं वो प्लेयर्स के लिए मैं बताता हूँ, टाइम वेस्ट मत करना। अगर वैसा शौक आपको पब्लिक देखने की है, फोटो खींचने की है, प्लीज आप स्पोर्ट्स छोड़ दे के पढ़ा लीजिए और आपका समय बर्बाद मत करिए। अगर जिसको खेलना है, खेल ही भगवान है, अगर खेल ही माँ बाप है, खेल ही उसका दुनिया है, और खेल के लिए वो जिया है, और खेल के लिए जो मरता है वो ग्राउंड में उतरिए, खेलिए। आप दुनिया के लिए सोच रही है, वो सोचो मत। जब आप दुनिया के लिए सोचेंगे तो कुछ नहीं बन पाओगे। अगर आपका गेम ही दुनिया बन के अगर खेलोगे, सारी दुनिया आपके तरफ देखेगी, ताली मारेगी, आप खंदा उठाएगी, इस पूरा वर्ल्ड को दिखाएगी। प्लीज प्लेयर्स को मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है, जब तक आपका इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं होता है गेम में, जब आप गेम को ही भगवान नहीं समझते, जिंदगी नहीं समझते, अगर गेम से कुछ हासिल आपको कुछ होता नहीं है, आपका जिंदगी खराब हो जाती है। अरे आप बहुत किस्मत वाले हैं, पेरेंट्स कई मतलब आशा लेके, कई पैसे इन्वेस्टमेंट करके, टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट करके फ्यूचर बना के रखा है आपके लिए। आप जो है ना वो इन्वॉल्वमेंट छोड़ दे के खाली पीली टाइम वेस्ट मत करिए। आज तेलंगाना ऐसा एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां सीएम कप के माध्यम से या नहीं जहां गांव से जो प्लेयर्स को हम निकाल के स्क्रूटनी करके उनको एक बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म पे देखने का, दिखाने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं। आज तेलंगाना तैयार है खिलवाने के लिए। हम सब प्लेयर्स को इनवाइट करते हैं, भाई आप दिल लगा के, मन लगा के ग्राउंड में उतरिए। हम पूरा दुनिया को आपको आपका नाम दिखा देंगे, रोशन करेंगे। आपके ऊपर आपका पेरेंट्स एक ही निर्भर नहीं है। चाहे आप समझते होंगे अगर मैं अच्छा खेलता हूं तो मेरे माँ बाप का नाम आता है, नहीं, आप माँ बाप के देश के लिए खेलना है, तेलंगाना के लिए खेलना है। इंटरनेशनल में अपना देश का नाम जब रौनक हो जाएगा उसके लिए खेलना है। हम सब भी आपके ऊपर बहुत डिपेंडेंट है। मेरी तरफ से यही बताना चाहता हूँ, प्लेयर्स को मेहरबानी होती है, अगर इस गेम में जब उतरते हैं तो दिल तोड़ के, मतलब पूरा दिल लगा के उतरना है, अपन हासिल करना है। तेलंगाना में भी एक क्रीड़ा प्रेमी है जो समझे तो आज इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे भी పొన్నం ప్రభాకర్ जी मंच पे आ जाइए, వేం నరేంద్ర గారు రండి। అండ్ మీ అందరికి తెలియజేసుకుంటూ, చిన్నారులారా ప్రపంచం చూడాలి నన్ను ఎవరైనా పక్క వాళ్ళు చూస్తున్నారా, నా ఫోటో తీస్తున్నారా, నా రికార్డ్ చేస్తున్నారనే ఆలోచనతో ఆడకండి దయచేసి. మీకు మీ పేరెంట్స్ ఒక్కరే కాదు, మేమంతా కూడా మీ మీద ఆశలు పెట్టుకున్నాం. మీరు ఆటనే దైవంగా ఆడండి, ఖచ్చితంగా ఆటనే సర్వమని ఆడండి. ప్రపంచం మీదకు చూసే రోజు ఖచ్చితంగా వస్తుంది అని చెప్పి తెలియజేస్తూ ముగిస్తా ఉన్నా. జై హింద్.
Okay, so I know the next session is almost there. So let's finish on this line. We are talking about Telangana rising. Next time when we meet, let's say Telangana has risen. Thank you very much.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome on stage Shri Poonam Prabhakar Garu, Minister, Honorable Minister of Transport and BC Welfare in Telangana. Ladies and gentlemen, we move forward with our felicitations now. I request our Honorable Minister for Sports and Youth Services, Shri Vakili Sri Hari Garu, kindly please present mementos to Mohammad Azharuddin. I request you, sir, to please step forward to receive the memento. We also request Shri Shivasena Reddy Garu and Shri Jayashree Garu to kindly please join in. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Revanth Reddy, Advisor to Government Sports Affairs. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. And yes, Mr. Mohammad Azharuddin being felicitated, ladies and gentlemen. I now request Ms. Geeta Adani to please step forward for the felicitation. Yes, Ms. Geeta Adani, please felicitate us. And ladies and gentlemen, our honorable minister our Chairman Sports Authority of Telangana, Shri Shivasena Reddy Garu. I now request Mr. Pullela Gopi Chand to kindly please step forward to receive the felicitation. I now request Ms. Swala Tushar to please step forward to receive the felicitation. inviting our panelists for this session now.
Level and also
Yes. I request Dr. Rajendra Singh, Mr. Tapas Paul, Ms. Rija Nayak, and Mr. Arjun Shashidharan to kindly please proceed towards the stage. And also our monitor for the session, Dr. Parth Shani, Dr. Arjun, I request you Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Telangana Rising Global Summit 2025. We witnessed the first session of day 2. That was the Telangana's Olympic Gold Quest. And in a few minutes, we shall proceed. Yes. Dr. Rajendra Singh. Yes, we welcome Dr. Rajendra Singh on the stage for our second panel discussion, Musi Regeneration and Blueprint Infrastructure in Hyderabad. Can I have the introductions like how they gave me for this?
to government industries and investment.
Hyderabad, the Musi, and how the Hyderabad is shaping up as blue-green Hyderabad. When we are talking about the future city where we are sitting today, this future city is going to be the net zero city, but at the same time, we have to cure Hyderabad. That is why we are telling that core urban region economy, how to better the Hyderabad ecosystem and how to improve the economy. So taking that cue as the basis, the Musi rejuvenation is planned. If you have visited the stall, you must have understood what exactly the vision is for the Musi rejuvenation there and how we are planning for the redevelopment. When we are talking about the Musi redevelopment and the rejuvenation, we are talking about the new economy, that is the night economy of Hyderabad. So this is cure. Then in the peri-urban region economy area, beyond ORR and up to the regional ring road that is coming up in a periphery of 360 kilometers. Within this region, Honorable Minister is looking after the development of industrialization and the townships along with that, the satellite townships. So this is the plan. And third one is the regional agricultural economy that is called RARE. See, this is how entire Telangana is planned as a spatial development. When we are talking about Musi and the blue-green Hyderabad, how we are going to develop that, how we are planning for rejuvenation. And here today the panelists, I would request all of them, discuss on how the plans were across the world when it comes to the rejuvenation of the rivers, and what is your experience into it across India. And please suggest, our plans are now get going, and from ADB also we are thankful to them that they have agreed to fund the phase 1. And what all the plans we have definitely are in a world-class manner, but at the same time, we want to have Musi again as the lifeline for the economy of Hyderabad. With these opening remarks, once again I thank all the panelists here, particularly our Honorable Minister for chairing this, and I request the moderator to take it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sri E.V. Narasimha Reddy IAS, for setting the tone for this session. I now invite on stage Honorable Minister for Information Technology, Electronics and Communication Industries and Commerce and Legislative Affairs, Government of Telangana, ladies and gentlemen, Shri Sridhar Babu.
Mr. Narasimha Reddy on the dais, and nobody needs introduction of the great personality here, Sri Rajendraji, who is known as a waterman, and in fact who has been championing for the blue-green infrastructure to develop in India as also in the world. Along with us, the representatives from the World Bank and the eminent persons on the dais. We welcome you to this Telangana Rising Global Summit 2025, which should be, making a benchmark in the annals of this state. In the later evening when we unveil the vision document of 2047, how Telangana would be, what steps Telangana would take, what we need to do as a policymaker, what other stakeholders has to contribute their might, their right, their energies to make this vision possible. In that sphere of things, we have come up to have an interaction with all the eminent leaders like you over here of the days, and also to have an interaction with all the stakeholders, how we should shape our state of Telangana and how we can request and appeal to the global partners who are keen in this blue-green infrastructure to be provided. On the context, I would like to mention why Hyderabad, why our Chief Minister and Mr. Revanth Reddy was all the time mentioning about this blue-green infrastructure. Many a time, most of the people who are also trying to understand about the Musi, or who are trying to understand about the lakes regeneration, or trying to do best how we can sail with the nature, not to disrupt the nature. The main our focus is how, every restored blue-green space. Primarily, this is a basic objective of our Chief Minister, Mr. Revanth Reddy, who is also holding the urban administration portfolio. Why we have given impetus for the blue-green space is it improves mobility, one, it helps in recreation, it helps in safety, and it also helps in the real estate confidence. So these are all makes us to become the growth drivers for our economic growth. And all put together, this will reinforce our climatic security. That's the most important thing what we just thought. And our vision for this Telangana, we have three models. Basically, this city of Hyderabad has a great perennial river, the Musi. It has been dried up. It is about 55-kilometer long green river which has been unnoticed. And our job and our chief minister's specific agenda is to regenerate the Musi River. How do we do it? How do we make it as a blue spine? That is one aspect. And the second is, how do you really regenerate the lakes? And third point is, how do we increase the green network in terms of the urban forests and creating the new parks? And when it comes to the Musi River, I would like to mention, when it was clean, when it should provide the irrigation water and also a source of the clean drinking water for many of the residents in Hyderabad. Now when the population increased, when the demands have increased, and how do we regenerate? One is the natural stream, which originates the river, and that is also been disrupted by the climatic conditions over there. How do we regenerate? So the immediate task what our Chief Minister has taken is to link up with the Godavari river waters. And how do we clean this river? To build STPs and trunk sewer infrastructure. How do we connect on either side of the river? Construction of the new bridges and creating pedestrian bridges, and also see that, the river flows by nature. It also helps in our flood mitigation. Many a time in 2021 and the recent past floods have also, we have seen in 2021 it was a big disaster. Many people lost their lives, their livelihoods, and also I've seen the worst part of the floods. Keeping that in view, recently there were floods to that level, but the governance has taken as a keynote. We have put our administration on the foot all the time when a small drop of water, a small amount of rain happens that may culminate into heavy rain. You know, our municipal administration, the urban administration officials, along with the disaster response team, which has been specifically to counter the flood. And also, we have, educated, enlightened our civilians how best we shouldn't use the public transport or to go on the road during the times of the floods. So when Musi was pushed as an ignored periphery, now we are trying to build up as the nature's given property to be developed, and it has to act as a backbone. In terms of the flood safety, what we have right now is we have identified about 3,262 lakes have been identified. As rightly mentioned by Mr. Narasimha Reddy, we have the geographical limits. Now we are categorizing as cure, pure and rare, right? Core urban area and peripheral urban area and rural agrarian area where we will try to cluster them as our economies. In the outer ring road inside, we have identified about 476 lakes, and outside the outer ring road where many people would have traveled, we have 2,786 outside ORR. How we can regenerate these lakes? For that, a organization has been floated by name Hydra. Many of our real estate partners and well-wishers, have thought this could be not a nice idea, but now we have proven that this entity has identified many lakes which have been encroached or which have not been put to use, and we are building systematic channels for that lakes, and many lakes have been regenerated, and that has been appreciated by in and around inhabitants of these lake areas. For that, we are going to provide the legal protections like notification of the lake boundaries, including the buffer zone 2. Till now, 445 preliminary notifications have been given, and we are finalizing about 1,079 notifications, and more progress in terms of giving the legal protection will be given. And in terms of the lakefront too, I need not mention I have so many lakes right now before me. We are trying to protect them, which shall enrich the environment of our Hyderabad. We know that every revived lake becomes a flood buffer, a groundwater recharge hub, and also a community space. And lake should not become a shrinking liability for us. So in that sphere, we are trying to work out. In the urban forest and the park, the green network, which is led again by HMDA, our focus is on the blue resilience. I would like to mention here, sir, the place what we are today. This is supposed to be our Bharat future city. We are trying to create a city over here which shall be net zero. And while coming to the social forestry, we have adjoining about 15,000 acres. We are trying to cultivate the irregular forest as a social urban forestry and try to link those parks with the tourism on a sustainable model, and this shall become our green network. And we have also identified in this greater Hyderabad limits about 213 urban parks, which we are on developing right now. We are trying to put walking and cycling parks, tracks in these reserved forest blocks. And we also have put about 450 lakh seedlings in and around this Hyderabad from 2025 to 26. We are doing avenue and median plantation, and we identified about few blocks as urban forest blocks, and the green corridor on ORR, which shall be supported by almost 78 lakh seedlings. And our flagship green tourism and biodiversity asset reflects on the eco park at Kotwalguda, which is about 85 acres, and they have 8,000 plus birds of 19 different species, largest aviary in India and second largest in the world. So as already mentioned, during rainfall, during heat waves, during extreme weather, why we resorted to blue-green infrastructure. While mentioning all these things, to the elders on the days or the industry partners of the days or the stakeholders or the NPOs or NGOs who are sitting across, who are most concerned about our cities, whether, our main focus, our government main focus is to give clear thrust into provide clean drinking water, clean air to breathe, and a clean environment to live. These are the basic features of our government, and our Chief Minister is very keen on it. And in the same sphere, what we are trying to project when we unveil the vision document of 2047, these are our thrust areas, and we welcome, few more initiatives if the elders who are more into this sphere of the climate or the green blue space of infrastructure. We are very, very open to include in our agenda to make this Telangana a blue-green capital for the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honourable Minister for Information Technology, Electronics and Communications Industries and Commerce and Legislative Affairs, Government of Telangana. Thank you so much, Shri Sridhar Babu Garu. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now move forward to witnessing the launch of audiovisual of MRDCL. So ladies and gentlemen, I request you to kindly please divert your attention to the screen. And the panelists here can look at the screen in front.
Flowing through the heart of Hyderabad for centuries, the Musi River shaped the city's birth, identity and evolution. From the early Qutub Shahi settlements to the Nizam's grand planning era, Musi was once the lifeline that nurtured trade, culture and civilization. As Hyderabad grew into a global metropolis, the Musi continued to flow silently. Witnessing the rise of historic corridors, bustling markets, transport nodes, and dense urban neighborhoods. The Musi Riverfront Development Project is a flagship initiative of the Government of Telangana aimed at rejuvenating a 55-kilometer stretch of the river from ORR West to ORR East, making it one of the longest riverfront redevelopment projects in South Asia, covering over 110 square kilometers of influence area.
Musi Prachalana Jaragali, Musilo elevated corridor Ravali, Musi Sundarikarna Jesi, Musi Nadini Punarujjeevinpajesi, ఆ ప్రాంతంలో నైట్ ఎకానమీని ఈ రోజు ప్రారంభించాలనుకుంటున్నాం.
The Blue Master Plan is driven by detailed study of Musi's hydrology, flow patterns and river behavior. It focuses on systematic river cleaning through desilting, debris removal and pollution control, restoring natural flow capacity. Advanced flood management measures including river profiling, retention structures, and strengthen stormwater channels, ensure resilience, protect urban areas, and create a clean, safe, and living river. A continuous 50-meter wide green buffer on both sides transforms Musi into Hyderabad's central lung, a seamless ecological corridor of parks, promenades, urban forests, cycling trails, and public plazas that enhance livability, microclimate, and biodiversity. The infrastructure master plan strengthens city connectivity through the strategic east-west corridor, new bridges, link roads, and multi-modal mobility corridors. This river becomes not just a water body, but a structural backbone unifying Hyderabad's east and west. The land use master plan dynamically highlights a 500-meter influence zone on both sides of Musi, proposing integrated mixed-use development, walk-to-work concepts, TOD-based planning, and sustainable urban zoning to redefine river-oriented living. Gandhi Sarovar emerges as a landmark of renewal, a new urban confluence where ecology, recreation, and identity meet. It weaves together green mobility, serene water experiences, and world-class public realms, creating a vibrant civic heart along the Musi and redefining Hyderabad's riverfront for generations to come. Miralam Tank, transformation of historic water body into a vibrant destination along with area development integrated with Nehru Zoo Park. Rajendra Nagar, emerging as a key mixed-use growth district along Musi. Riverfront showcases the first visible shift from polluted banks to people-centric vibrant waterfront. The Musi Riverfront Development Project is one of India's foremost urban regeneration initiatives, positioning Hyderabad's waterfront as a high-value investment destination. The Musi Corridor opens strategic zones for commercial, residential, hospitality, and innovation-led development, designed to fuel long-term economic growth and elevate Hyderabad's global standing. Musi is envisioned as a future economic engine, unlocking responsible, sustainable, and transformative investment opportunities. Aim is to achieve these sustainable development goals. From a forgotten river to a living legacy, the Musi riverfront signals Hyderabad's rise as a resilient and globally competitive metropolis. This transformation is an invitation. Come, be part of this journey. Be part of the revival. Be part of the rise of Musi.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's clap loudly for that wonderful, beautiful presentation there. My dear friends, we begin today with a session that touches both heritage and the future, the regeneration of the Musi River and the creation of a blue-green urban ecosystem for Hyderabad. This conversation brings together experts working at the intersection of ecology, infrastructure, and urban design. We now move towards the panel discussion, so I'd like to thank our dignitaries for being present here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the discussion that will happen now, Musi regeneration and blue-green infrastructure in Hyderabad. I'd like to introduce our first panelist for the session. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rajendra Singh. He is known as the Waterman of India. He is a renowned water conservationist and chairman of Tarun Bharat Singh. He has led the revival of thousands of traditional water bodies and helped restore several rivers in Rajasthan. And he's the recipient of the Ramon Magsaysay Award and Stockholm Water Prize. He's a global advocate for community-led water governance. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Rajendra Singh, for joining us. He's our, panelist member here. I now move towards our next panelist, ladies and gentlemen, would like to invite, yes, she's already on stage, so thank you so much for joining in, ma'am. Miss Alexia Michel, she is a senior water resource specialist and experienced team leader with about 25 years of expertise in integrated water management, covering rural and urban water supply, sanitation, irrigation, flood resilience, and climate adaptation across Europe, Asia, Latin America, and Africa. She has been with Asian Development Bank, ADB, since 2022, currently based in New Delhi, India, where she leads projects in irrigation, flood control, coastal resilience, and other water-related areas within the agriculture, food, nature, and rural development sector. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in. Yes, can we clap for her, ladies and gentlemen? I now would like to, yes, introduce our next speaker. Yes, Mr. Arjun Shashidharan. He is a specialist in hydrology, hydrodynamics, coastal ocean modeling, flood risk modeling, sediment transport, shoreline change modeling, and climate impact assessments. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. I'd like to invite, yes, introduce our next panelist, Dr. Srija S. Nair. Yes, Dr. Srija Nair's fields of expertise include disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, drought risk and mitigation, geospatial analytics, early warning systems, hazard and vulnerability assessment, disaster loss database, and climate resilience policy planning. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in. We also have with us Mr. Tapas Paul. Mr. Tapas Paul's expertise spans environmental management, natural resources management, coastal zone management, urban and regional development, water resources, and infrastructure planning. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, our moderator for the session, Dr. Parthasarthi Rangarajan. Yes, Dr. Parthasarthi's expertise covers natural resource management, environmental economics, rural and urban planning, coastal and water governance, fisheries, irrigation management, and development policy research. I now would like to hand it over this wonderful session, Musi Regeneration and Blue-Green Infrastructure in Hyderabad, to our moderator, Dr. Parthasarthi. It's over to you, sir.
The temple's redevelopment and rejuvenation, along with the improvement of connecting roads, with an investment of rupees 250 crore.
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon. It's a very interesting panel, and we have a very interesting and an expert panelist also. Already we have seen the broad overview of what the regeneration of Musi River plan is about. And we also know that the Riverfront Authority has been created and the initiative has been going on. There are various experts here. I think we have 10 minutes each, given the up to the lunch interval. And we also have the Minister, sir, and the Managing Director, who will also have the final words. But what I would like to do as a moderator is to raise and flag some of the issues which my expert co-panelists can also come in. And if there's time in the end, I'll try and do the summing up. World over, when we had or we have the riverfronts being developed, even within India we have in Ahmedabad, we have in Lucknow, we have in other places. One of the things that catch my eye is that there is an absence of property rights in that. When we are talking about natural resources, when we are talking about regeneration efforts, it would be useful to identify the stakeholders and talk about the property rights or very clearly have those property rights. Because eventually what happens is that there are land acquisition that happens, which is inevitable, and we have the LAR Act, which came up in 2013, which has been very, very useful. And we also have other supporting acts, like the all states also have, so which are very useful. So if we can have a comprehensive plan right from the beginning about identifying who the stakeholders are at various quadrants of the river flow, then it would be very, very useful to identify what the property rights are and how these will be utilized in the future. That becomes essential because if I think of Musi River, say 20 years back, near Patancheru, when we have seen, there used to be a lot of fishermen, also the dhobis. It had been a very useful dhobi ghat where people have been used, the washermen had been there. But over time, these things disappear and new forms will take over. But then what these new forms are and how we want to project, that is the point. That point also dovetails into the very famous concept that we have of tragedy of commons. Because eventually, when we have the river fronts, there is land, water body, and which is being used by public, also in some places the private sector, and the government, of course. But who is to look after what usually becomes a tragedy. That's the tragedy of commons that we know. And therefore, from both these perspectives, it would be really useful to think about how we are going to define who the stakeholders are and what kind of rights that they have and duties, of course. The second point that I would like to touch upon is very interesting that we are developing new cities, new areas, new urban areas. And new urban areas is a must in a state which is already almost half of the state population, or half of the area is urbanized. And the urbanization is going to go fast, and it is essential that we have a good infrastructure and good cities planned. In the process of doing it, even within Hyderabad, we have more than 500 small lakes other than Musi River. And therefore, these are also the areas where the blue-green infrastructure will have to come. But what kind of blue-green infrastructure will come and who will have what rights, and that becomes very important. The cities, the transitional areas I would call, because these are not peri-urban areas anymore, the transition areas have a big role to play. And as they are transforming into urban areas, by essentially led by the government, it would be useful to identify those blue-green areas and retain them as much as possible. That really saves later, because once the city develops, like what we are talking today, in almost all the cities, I'm not specifically talking only about Hyderabad. Good that Hyderabad is thinking about it. We develop the riverfronts, and then we also have the urban forests. Instead of doing it or planting it or transplanting it after the city gets developed, in those transitional areas which are becoming new city now, it would be how far it would be useful to have those lakes, forest areas preserved. So those are and it has to be like master plan that we have for the cities. It would be useful to have a transitional area master plan which also includes these resources. Another point that I hope my panelists will also cover is a land capture mechanism, the FSI and other areas that we need to concentrate on. And lastly, this has to be a bankable project. So if they become a bankable project, not only the riverfront, but almost all the other developmental aspects that have been dovetailed into it would be of great use. I'll stop here. I'm sure my panelists will also contribute more on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I will, on behalf of MRDCL, I would like to start this panel discussion. Sir, Rajendra ji, आपके experience. You have a lot of experience. You have been working for last 50 years in this particular field of river rejuvenation. When we are planning for Moosi rejuvenation, we have studied extensively about the floodplain and the pollution that is caused. And for 55 kilometers that is runs through Hyderabad. Actually, it was a lifeline. As you are well aware, every settlement happens on the banks of the rivers. That's how Hyderabad growth is. But at this point in time, after urbanization, definitely the developmental challenges are there. Then now this government has taken up as a flagship program to rejuvenate it, give that blue and green waters, green spaces for the better living of the citizens of Hyderabad. With your experience, can you please suggest us the plan you have seen? Just now I have taken you around our stall and what are the plans in place. With your experience, can you please suggest us if there is any improvement to be done, the way we are going forward? Is it aligned with what exactly the rejuvenation is meant for? Thank you, sir.
The first of all, I congratulate to this young Telangana. Why? Because this state is really working on the light of Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution, Section A40 and Section 51AG. The state to the lakes and ponds and rivers. This is the duty of the state, the protection of the lakes, ponds, river and forest. So this state is really on the right side. You know, the river have the three rights. One right is the land of the river. The land of the river you can't use of the industry or commercial complex. That land, the river land only for river. And this government done a very wonderful job. The river have the three type of the land. One is the blue zone, and second is the green zone, and third is the red zone. So they really marking the land of river. So this state is moving toward giving the right of the river to ride river. So I just congratulate on this line. And another thing, yesterday I meet to my friend Rajan, he showed the Hydra. And I visit, when I come and I go back to the visit on the side of the Hydra, I seen 3 ponds rejuvenation. That is also good work, because if you rejuvenate the river, so you decide the relation with the ponds and lake with the river. The river is flowing with the recharging of the water in the ponds and lakes and forests. So this is also good thing. So I am, why I am congratulate, first I tell you. And now I say something. I came from desert state of country, where the arid zone and semi-arid zone called Rajasthan. The 50 years before, when I resigned the government of India and moved to the field of ground, so that time people is displaced. Nobody, the young people living there. Just some old people living there, and they are the sick from the night blindness due to the malnutrition. So that time I am a doctor. Today I am not doctor. That time I am doctor because I am in the government of India. So I resigned and I moved to field. So I start the treatment. After the 9 months, lot of people cure. And one old man stand up and speak to me, "Oh Rajendra, what are you doing?" So I told, "You not seen anything before, now you can see in this world." He say, "But you know, when I see this world, my pains is increased." So I asked why? Because before, the all people of my village, they are putting the water in my pot. And when I see this all world, they can't put the water in my pot. So I am, that time he is the 73-year-old. So he say, "I am going fetching, drinking water 10 kilometers far away, so you create my pains." So that time, I start the de-learning of the education of university. And I learn from my community. And I start the work is the water conservation. And due to that conservation, after 15 years, my river Arvari flowing perennial. That is the seasonal river. And dry and dead region, no recharge. The rains is not coming due to the heat waves and the climates, all climate disaster there. And there, that time, the singing the song, my old people, you listen. The clouds come every year, but we don't know the angerness of the clouds. And where go these clouds? Due to the heat waves, the barren land, due to the mining, that area is the barren. So when the angerness of the cloud is start, my son and the wife of the son moved to the city of Delhi. So you can understand what is the crisis that time. And why this disaster come? Because our technology and engineering, that technology and engineering not really with consciousness and concern equal to the need of the human being and nature. When we are using the technology without consciousness and concern, that technology creating disaster. So, my dear friend, now in last 50 years, they change the song. The clouds come, now no angerness in the clouds. They are giving the rain to every year. And my son and the wife of the son returned to the home, and now they are doing agriculture. So, if your rejuvenation of the river Musi, and you really respecting the right of the flow, the two right of the river, the one right of the land and second right of the flow. That flow, if your flow is not clean and continuous flow with freedom of river, so that creates some problem. So just I request you, first suggestion, your plan is very good. I welcoming your plan, but just bother about the clean and continuous flow with freedom in the river. Just the simple suggestion to you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really experienced suggestion. Would you like to respond on this, sir?
So what you have mentioned about here is clean and continuous. That's the real reason I was mentioning about, because of the nature's imbalances, the origin of the river, the stability of the river should be there all the time, and that's how we are trying to connect with the Godavari river basin. We are trying to lift the Godavari river. 3 TMC of the water will be lifted into this river so that the continuous flow of the river will be there. And coming to the cleaner this thing, we have put about 50 STP packs. We shall be cleaning this river water all the time. So these are the two important aspects what you told. We are taking due cognizance of that, and times to come we will try to interact with you try to put the papers in front of you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
I welcome this idea because if we are really bothered about the clean and continuous flow, that flow making a culture and the integration with nature, and this way you can create a green jobs and green infrastructure. The green job and green infrastructure is always moving to the sustainability. So the sustainability word come in India more than 1,000 years before. But now we can really move, as per the minister says, now due to the pressure of the population and different type of the commercial pressures from the river. So we can think in a new way, in a innovative way, what we can support to the flow of the river. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, this is to Mr. Swapna. You have been working with World Bank and you have been working on various areas, particularly the flood plains, how to control the floods and all. So, with your experience, how can we integrate the sponge box, floodplains, wheelways, and urban wetlands into the Musi River corridor?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So thank you very much. It's a very important question, and I would think that from whatever we have seen in your video, what you have taken up is an ambitious plan. Say compared to Sabarmati or Jaipur, it is 55-kilometer stretch. It's ambitious, but allow me to say that for me it's not ambitious enough, because we are looking at 2047, you are looking at Hyderabad of 2047, and you are looking at a area of intervention or influence which is 110 square kilometers. Now, unfortunately, even if it was our lifeline, even if Hyderabad came up because of the river, we have converted the river into a drain. And when you intend, your intent is a drain, you will get a drain. Now, if you have this entire city has made the river its backward, it turned it back to the river. Now, if you do not change that, turning the cities back to the river, you will have a cleaner drain, you will have a bigger drain, but you will still continue to have a drain and not a river. And now that we are talking about 20-25 years, we should be more ambitious, because if Hyderabad cannot do, because Hyderabad is like 60% of economy of Telangana, no other city in any other state can do. So you have the opportunity, and you should actually create the benchmark, true benchmark for India. Now, I would think that you need to think about a larger influence area in which the city makes the river its front. And it cannot be done through a 100-meter strip of work or 300-meter or 1 kilometer. It has to be larger. Now, within that, then the question is what Rajendraji talked about, right of the river on the land. We have to give land back to the river. Now, 110 square kilometer, you have to give 80, 90 square kilometer back to the river. How do you give that? You have some elements of your design. I would suggest that we actually need to rethink Hyderabad regional plan and make it a spine for development. 2031 HMDA regional plan should be revised and make this a spine for development. Make it really, really the spine with selected high-rise, high-density area, say 30 square kilometer of high-density area, so that you can release 80 square kilometer of land to the river. And that will include the sponges, the wetlands, and the other ecosystem services that the river also needs. So high-density development in very select areas, and I will give you an example. For example, we think Bombay is high density. It's not Bombay. So for example, Bombay's FAR is less than 2, 1.5. New York is 15. Floor area ratio permitted in New York is 15. Comparable cities, 88 lakh people in New York, 122 lakh people in BMC area. Comparable. FAR is too high. Building density, 5 times the building density in Mumbai. But New York has more than 20 times, 26 times open area compared to Delhi, Bombay. So I think this is the strategy you need to really think about. And within that mesh, all the pollution management thing, which is for today, 50 STPs will work today. Maybe you need another 50 STPs. You will need constructed wetlands because your cost of operation will go up. So we need to actually think about your 40,000 crore capital investment also means that we need to cut down the maintenance cost to 2,000 crores, for which you will need wetlands. And also you have to have enough revenue every year, 3,000, 4,000 crore revenue has to be generated. And that will come through mixed, multi-functional development, not entertainment, not recreation only. So that would be my.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, what exactly goes back to what Ranjit was telling. Give the right answer to the river. Let the river live along with us. Then the river live our life. So that's the major thing. And how to also develop, you have been talking about that is also when coming to Srijan, Dr. Srijan Nair. So you have been working on climate and disaster risk, and you are an expert specialist. You have been suggesting various things across Asia. When it comes to Musi, what exactly your thought on climate resilience and the climate mitigation? How and what kind of measures we need to factor compulsory when we are planning?
Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you very much. Actually, for Musi River, like us, it's like there is a buzzword like pure, and rare. So actually, our focus is first to pure. So we need to focus more on cleaning the river and let the water to be pure first. Then cure it, and then we need to maintain it. So that is another thing we need to look into. And the last part is like we need to make it something which is rare, so that it should be sustained, not for this generation but also for the future. So here like I want to bring into the concept of risk sensitive planning. When we are doing the riverfront development, we should focus more on risk sensitive planning. It's a very interesting thing about Hydra, like it is taking care of both disaster management as well as asset both together. So that is one of the good approach towards risk reduction. Earlier it was like vigilance department which was taking care of the disaster management, and that is a good move. Like in the national scenario, like now we have a new disaster management bill. Like 2005 there was a Disaster Management Act, and now there's an amendment. The bill is now almost at the final stage and will soon be amended. So in that there is a mandate that every state or the corporation has to come up with the city level disaster management authorities, similar urban disaster management authorities, similar to the district disaster management authorities and state disaster management authorities. And it is mandatory to prepare the plans considering the geographical, environmental as well as the socio-economic factors. So it's all the three pillars should be given equal consideration while preparing the plan. So a river basin approach, a watershed based approach should be done while carrying out the vulnerability and risk assessment, especially to the floods. That is something which is to be considered. So that is my suggestion.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that is a good suggestion. Basically, we have to look at the flood control and other things. Having said this, we have done extensive studies of flood considering last 100 years. But this is the question to Mr. Arjun and Mr. Siddharan also. Because you are an hydrology expert and you have done hydrology well studies and also hydraulic people study. We have extensively studied with the help of consultants and also the National Institute of Hydrology. Actually, this question also relates to what Dr. Srija was mentioning. So when it comes to the flood being and flood control measures, see, as Rajandarji was mentioning, the river was free when we have not obstructed that. We cannot bring it back to that stage. But in the given situation, what are your ideas and what are your suggestions? How to make Musi as a free-flowing river again? Can you please elaborate on this?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. And first of all, I'll congratulate this government for coming up with such a courageous and such a beautiful idea of rejuvenating a river. I would like to add on to what Dr. Srija was saying about the risk-informed flood mitigation measures. And we all who all are sitting here, you have been witnessing the latest torrential rains. For example, in September 2025, you had a huge rain and it almost flooded the entire city. That's one thing. It's not just one single event. Look at the 2000 August flood, where you had a recorded 124-hour rainfall of 250 millimeter in a day in Hyderabad. In IMD station it was recorded. Go for 2016 flood or 2013, 2023. Every year, this intensity of the rainfall is increasing. The duration is getting narrower. So probably the rainfall that is happening over a complete month is the same. Or probably the rainfall that is happening over a year can be the same. However, the torrential rain, the duration and frequency is been changing. That is what is happening in Hyderabad as we talk about the climatic change and things. Only out of these torrential rains which has actually flooded Hyderabad, only one flooding can be tied directly to a Bay of Bengal deep depression that occurred in 2016. So there are 3 points that is actually preparing, giving constraints. One is exactly as she said, we have lost the river which was there. So the area, the water carrying capacity of the river has come down. Along with that, the duration of the rain has come down, but the amount of rain which is happening has been increased. The third one is a compound effect, where you have torrential rain, you have high water lines in dams, and you have high water in river. When in such a condition, you don't need a huge rainfall of around 240 mm per day. You need like 50 mm, 100 mm rain is enough when you have a higher water levels in Musi. That can create a havoc in the city. So what we usually do to address the flood, in engineers, I know that a lot of engineers are sitting here. We always go ahead and design for a particular return period. So then when people like ADB, people ask, you have to put in climate change into it, what is usually you do? You say, okay, you're designing for 10-year return period, go for 25-year return period. Simple. Or just add 10%, 20% addition to the existing IDF curves. Is it scientifically correct or statistically correct? No. It's just to add on to whatever the financial agency or whoever is financing, just have to impress them. You're just adding a kind of thing. So I would like to suggest something called, what do you call it, a statistically or probabilistic method to address this particular flooding event. How it's been done in other part of the world. See, now as you said, you have a single 1 in 100 year or one particular return period. And what you say is you have 1 in 25 return period. Wherever it's flooding, you don't make anything. 1 in 100 year return period, don't make anything. Instead of that, we have constraint of the space, we have constraint of the area. Why don't we think about something different, which is being practiced in elsewhere in the country? So see, we have a lot of numerical methods like probabilistic method of analyzing data, right? So right now what we are doing is we are planning for using the yesteryear's climate. We are planning the future infrastructure using yesteryear climate. However, the climate is changing. You have torrential rains are changing. The amount of flood or the rain which is happening is changing. At the same time, the city is developing. Your nalas are coming narrower, your rivers are coming narrower. So instead of going for a single value, go for say a Monte Carlo approximation, so that you don't know what exactly is going to be. This can be a trend, that the warmer temperature can be increasing the torrential rains. It might be bringing in more water. It can change the other way as well. We are not so sure. See, in 2024, we had a cyclone Asna. That cyclone originated in desert. Cyclones are not supposed to be originating in desert. In such an uncertain conditions, we should go for something like a probabilistic approach for having a range of values for projections, which will give you a realistic, more probably robust, probably practical, viable, economically viable solution to address the flood issues or inundation issues. And again, as I said, the compound effect of different parameters, a moderate rain plus a moderate water level in Musi can create havoc in the city because of the constraints. So whenever the green-blue infrastructure that is being proposed for the Musi, you should look into the issues that has been already prevailing in the city. A city especially was grown around Musi River. So this compound effects has to be studied, has to be hydrologically analyzed, has to be identified, and come up with a protocol instead of just making embankments and then creating a 50-meter buffer. Use this probabilistic approach and you give weightage to the infrastructure, give weightage to the socio-political, economical, natural vulnerability, and then decide where to give green buffers or blue buffers instead of just making a buffer all around the city. You don't need that. You do have low-lying areas, use that as a buffer. Create a playground there, create a football ground there, have a flood, let it flood. It's not going to make a lot of environmental or economical impacts. Let it flood. Let that be a recharging thing. Just like a lake, if you're not able to connect the excess water that is coming in Musi River, connect it to a football ground, make a football ground or a park in a low-lying area where the probability of flooding can be less than or higher than 4%, like more than 25-year return period flood.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
So, in order to mitigate the floods, try to understand the hydrology, the drainage pattern, and the drainage pattern particularly in the cities. It is nalas, address nalas, and how to take care of the low-lying areas you have been telling. That's actually exactly the part of our planning. So not only that, but how to treat the sewage that has been coming for so long. So that is also taken into consideration, and the plan includes. Coming to Miss Alex, you have heard all other panelists. So with their experience and with your experience having worked in ADB for over 25 years, so how you define Musi? And thanks that ADB is now also partnering with us, and you will be guiding us in making our DPR perfect and then getting into the execution. When it comes to the water management, flood management, the nature-based solutions, and also how to connect to the people. This is also very, very important. So what is your thought into that? And can you please give your thought?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, for inviting us to this panel. This is a great honor for us to be here. The Musi River is deeply embedded in the history and identity of Hyderabad, as we could see during this fantastic movie that was shown at the beginning. So the Musi River has accompanied the city through decades of remarkable economic and spatial transformation. However, this comes with challenges that need to be addressed. Indeed, as the city has expanded, the river has gradually taken on multiple challenges, and we have extensively discussed about this, such as receiving wastewater, stormwater, solid waste also that is going into the river. All this is placing increasing pressure on its natural capacity to function as a healthy river system. Also, the development along the floodplains and evolving hydrological patterns, as we discussed also, have also altered the river's natural behavior, leading to higher flood risks in some areas. Water quality challenges affect environmental conditions and public health and well-being. These pressures are widely recognized, and most importantly, they point to a clear opportunity. With sustained investment and coordinated action, the river systems such as Musi River can be restored as a resilient and productive urban river. So in terms of opportunity, last June, ADB President, Mr. Masato Kanda, after meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, announced that ADB will invest up to $10 billion over the next 5 years to transform urban infrastructure and support India's growing cities under the Urban Challenge Fund, designed to catalyze innovative, performance-oriented, and private capital leveraging urban investment. These blue-green infrastructures that we are talking about today, such as proposed in the Musi River Rejuvenation Initiative, combining environmental restoration with economic productivity and high-quality public space, is exactly the type of transformative, result-driven project that the Urban Challenge Fund seeks to support. Blue-green transformation is most effective, as we discussed also, when it's planned through an integrated water resources management approach, which looks at the entire river basin as one interconnected system. And very important, and this relates to your question, at the center of this project are people and communities. Strong community consultation, participation, and local stewardship are essential for long-term sustainability. This means ensuring that communities along the river benefit directly from the improved environmental quality, safer public spaces, better access to services, and enhanced economic opportunities. Riverfront development also opens pathway for new livelihoods and green jobs in waste management, for example, is ecosystem restoration, riverfront development. Ecotourism is also an important part, urban agriculture, and the development of small enterprises. Another important aspect is women participation, youth engagement, and community-based monitoring that will be also important drivers for lasting successes. Now, coming back to ADB's international experience and what we bring actually as our international expertise, ADB and World Bank's 100 City program in India demonstrates how blue-green infrastructure can move from concept to city-wide systems, strengthening drainage, water supply, and urban resilience simultaneously. Another example outside India is that is particularly relevant for river rejuvenation and ecological restoration is the ADB's long-term engagement for integrated river basin management in China, in the Yangtze River Economic Belt and in the Yellow River Ecological Corridor. Just to give a quick word about the Yangtze River, you have Shanghai at the downstream of the river, and of course, all the development of Shanghai is taken into account, and there is everything that Shanghai can do to clean the river on its own territory. However, if it's not allied with complete integrated river basin management, it's a very difficult challenge. So this is what ADB has actually provided since 2014 ADB has supported around $3 billion in ecological restoration investment in these river basins, benefiting more than 70 million people. These projects integrate wastewater control, wetland restoration, green urban development, and also a concept that is called payment for ecosystem services, which provides sustained financial incentive for upstream watershed protection and ecological flow maintenance. Another example is in the Philippines, where ADB has its own headquarters. ADB is revitalizing the Pasig River that is passing through Manila with integrated policy, planning, digital technology, and cross-sectoral investments. So this is in support of the Pasig River Urban Development Authorities and in support of their priorities, which are the water system rehabilitation, transportation, recreation, mixed-use development, tourism, and sustainable human settlements. So to conclude, this Musi Riverfront Development Project has the potential to become one of India's most compelling examples of how cities can align economic dynamism with environmental restoration and social progress. This is not only about reviving a river, it's about shaping Hyderabad and more largely river cities' future around resilience, quality of life, and sustainability. And with the combined momentum of state leadership, national initiatives such as the Urban Challenge Fund, and long-term partnership with institutions such as ADB, the Musi River program can be structured as a scalable, financially sustainable, and climate-resilient investment platform that can serve as a national and regional model for blue-green urban transformation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Alex. As you said, Musi Rejuvenation is not a project. It is shaping of the Hyderabad ecosystem for better living standards, social aspects, and giving the blue and green environment to the citizens of Hyderabad. Very good thought into that. Last question to Rajendra ji. आपने बहुत सारे रिवर्स रिजुवेनेशन वहाँ पर राजस्थान में करी. अब आप इससे पहले आंध्र प्रदेश जब था आप एडवाइज़र भी थे अपने रिवर रिजुवेनेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स पे, मूसी पे. जब भी आपके जो भी थॉट प्रोसेस है वो अपने को बताया था. एंड नाउ कमिंग टू दिस पर्टिकुलर rejuvenation project taken up by Telangana government at this point in time. As everybody pointed out, we have considered every aspect, the hydrology, the floods, given shrinking of the river bed, some points in some areas. And we are trying to also give the hydraulics and the cross section so that the river should not be obstructed anyway. At the same point in time, we are also thinking, not only thinking, but we have mandated that 50 meters on each side of the river will be kept as buffer zone. We will not allow any kind of development in that. And after 50 to 100 meters, this is also again a restricted development area. So as per the CWC guidelines also, it is mandated that we have to look into the regulated development within 50 meters to 100 meters. That is also being taken care. As rightly pointed out by Alex, we have to win over the people also, who are the main stakeholders. And at the same time, what Tapas and others were mentioning about the economy to be thriving and not investing much into that, how to leverage the resources what we have and take it forward. All these are considered. And now we are at a stage that finalizing the DPR, actually draft DPR already done. Only one aspect that is coming into our mind is that how to get over or how to win over the environmental challenges that are coming now, the cloud bursts and other things. सो ये एक अपने मन में चलता है। जब भी अपन प्लान करता है रीडेवलपमेंट के लिए, rejuvenation of any of the river, we take 100 years data. But the rains that happened over the 100 years are not similar now. So in the given situation, आप पुणे पे भी एक मूसी का पुणे पे भी एक रिवर का रिजुवेनेशन, हाँ, वो रिवर पे आप काम कर रहा है, वो भी एक अर्बन प्लेस है। We have studied extensively. Our team has been sent to South Korea, Japan, and various other countries to study how the development happened there. Of course, we have brought in all the factors into this. But Indian context में आपका एक सूचना अपने को देना है. You want to give a final advice to us. What is that we should keep in our mind to take this forward?
Very good. This question is really very much near of my heart. क्यों? क्योंकि मैं आपको थोड़ा सा पहले अपना अनुभव शेयर करता हूँ, फिर उनके सीधे सवाल पे आता हूँ। जब हमारी नदी सूख गई थी तो लोग उजड़ के शहर चले गए थे और वो जो प्रेशर था गांव का वो शहरों पर बढ़ने लगा था और शहरों में केवल नदियों के किनारे ही खाली जगह मिलती है। तो उन्हीं गांव के लोगों ने आके नदी की बैंक पर दोनों साइड में जो फ्लड प्लेन था एनक्रोचमेंट किया और फिर जब उनके गांव में पानी वापस आ गया, पानी तो ऐसे ही नहीं आता, पानी को लाने के लिए टाइम लगता है। यू कैन चेंज मेक द हिस्ट्री सम आवर्स, बिटवीन सम आवर्स, but if you are making change in the geography, taking years and years. So मुझे तो 10-12 साल लगे जब मेरी पहली नदी अरवरी पेरेनियल हुई और मैंने देखा कि दिल्ली, बम्बई, अहमदाबाद सब जगह से लोग वापस आके अपनी ज़मीन पर खेती करने लगे। तो वो जो एक बड़ा चेंज था, उस चेंज ने मेरी ऊर्जा बहुत बढ़ा दी। और मुझे लगा यार मैंने तो कभी ऐसा सोचा ही नहीं था कि ये रिवर्स माइग्रेशन हो जाएगा और लोग वहाँ से अपनी ज़मीन पर आकर खेती करने लगेंगे। तो एक तो ये है कि ये जो नदी है ना, ये केवल फ्लो नहीं है, नदी रियली बेस ऑफ योर कल्चर, सिविलाइजेशन एंड नेचर इंटीग्रेशन। नेचर, कल्चर and civilization integration name is the river. तो जब आप अपने समाज को अपनी नदी के साथ जोड़ देते हैं तो सर आपका काम आसान हो जाता है। तो फिर क्या हुआ, जब हमारी नदी बहने लगी तो लड़के वापस आए और इन लड़कों ने सबने गन्ना बोना शुरू कर दिया। तो मैंने कहा यार राजस्थान में गन्ना थोड़ा ही हो सकता है, तो 1 साल में 2 साल में दोबारा सूख जाएगी। अच्छा, हमारे लड़कों की शादी नहीं होती थी तब पहले क्योंकि पानी नहीं था, तो जब नदी में पानी आया और ये लड़के वापस लौट के आए, इन सब की शादी होने लगी, इनकी सब की नई बहुएं आ गई। तो ये लड़के तो मेरी बात सुने नहीं क्योंकि उनको तो गन्ना मिल गया था, गाड़ी में भर के शहर में बेचने जाने लगे थे। मैंने इनकी सारी बहुओं को बुलाया और बुला के कहा कि देखो, यदि ये गन्ना बोएंगे तो फिर ये गांव उजड़ेंगे और यदि गन्ना बोना बंद करोगे तो तुम दोनों पति पत्नी यहाँ गांव में रह सकोगे सब। इन औरतों को समझ में आ गया। रियली आई कैन से द इंडियन वुमन इज ऑलवेज साइलेंट एंड बिहाइंड ऑफ द मैन, बट यू नो शी इज रियली डीप कंसर्न with nature and she have the character of the nourishment of nature and human being. इन औरतों ने कहा तो फिर क्या करें? तो मैंने कहा कि यार देखो, इन पतियों को समझाओ कि ये गन्ना वन्ना नहीं बोए, ये इलाका गन्ने का नहीं है। तो इन्होंने कहना शुरू किया, पर पति कहाँ सुने। तो फिर मैंने कहा इन औरतों से कि इन पतियों को कह दो कि यदि तुम गन्ना बोओगे तो मैं तुम्हारे साथ नहीं रहूँगी। मेरी हिंदी आपको समझ में नहीं आ रही है, पर ये दिल की बात तो मैं अपनी दिली भाषा में ही कह सकता हूँ। सर, दैट इज द बिग चेंज। इन लड़कों ने अपना क्रॉप पैटर्न को रेन पैटर्न के साथ लिंक करना शुरू किया और फिर हमने पूरी रिवर की एक रिवर पार्लियामेंट बना दी, जहाँ से नदी शुरू हुई थी और जहाँ नदी मिलके दूसरे उसमें जाती थी। वो जो रिवर पार्लियामेंट ने है, उसने हमारे क्रॉप पैटर्न को हमारे रेन पैटर्न के साथ लिंक कर दिया। इसलिए आज मेरी नदी बह रही है, नहीं तो कोई नदी 50 साल कॉन्टिन्यूस बहेगी क्या? जिस तरह का डिस्चार्ज बढ़ रहा है और रिचार्ज घट रहा है, हमेशा हर जगह खेती करना चाहते हैं। तो मुझे बस एक ही छोटा सा सुझाव आपको देना है कि आप जो रिवर रिजुनेशन का काम कर रहे हैं, इसमें मैनेजमेंट की दृष्टि से, गवर्नेंस की दृष्टि से, टेक्नोलॉजी की दृष्टि से आप मुझसे ज़्यादा अच्छा जानते हैं और इन सब लोगों को मिला के आप अच्छा ही करेंगे। पर मैं एक चीज़ कह रहा हूँ जो आप नहीं जानते, वो ये है,
वो तो इम्पोर्टेंट है।
वो ये है कि हमारी मूसी नदी के जो लोग हैं, उनके दिल में ये नदी कैसे बहने लगे। जिस दिन मूसी के लोगों के मन में आप उनकी नदी को बहाने लगेंगे, उस दिन जो नदी है वो फिर कभी सूखेगी नहीं और कभी मरेगी नहीं। वो नदी पेरेनियल होकर बहती रहेगी।
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, as you said, people at the center, people are very, very important. We are trying to make them the main partners into the development. That is how it is entirely planned. आपका जो सुझाव है हमें पूरा मंजूर है, वही सुझाव के साथ हम आगे बढ़ेंगे. With this, I thank the moderator Parthsarthi, Professor Parthsarthi, and all the panelists for their insightful thoughts and perspectives. So with what I came to understand while sitting in the seat as Managing Director of the Musi Riverfront Development, my task is to balance everything, particularly the ecological restoration, scientific understanding, and strong governance. So with that, and the most and very important aspect is community participation, as highlighted by Rajendra ji and every one of you and Alex, the inclusivity of every section, the women, the youth, and everyone. The riverfront actually is going to be the activity-based development, and keeping in mind of the Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So we have to keep them in mind, as what we have been seeing across the world, how the Gen Z is proactively participating. We will also make them participate in this. That is the inclusivity we are looking at. This, with all these things, we are thinking that Hyderabad will become, definitely will become a vibrant, resilient city with a resilient river system. So we want to flow with, the development should flow with the river. That's what is a thought, and with this thought, and I once again thank all the participants here for participating, and the panelists for giving your inputs for making this a beautiful riverfront development and rejuvenation of Musi. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Over to you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was indeed a very informative segment right there, and I'm sure everybody absorbed a lot of information, details, and indeed we are looking forward to the blue-green Telangana. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I request Shri E.V. Narasimha Reddy, IAS Managing Director, MRDCL, to kindly please present mementos to our esteemed panelists here on stage. I would first request Mr. Rajendra Singh, what a man of India, to please step forward to receive the memento. request Ms. Alexia Michels to please step forward to receive the felicitation. I request Mr. Tapas Paul to please step forward. I request Ms. Srija S. Nair to please step forward. I request Mr. Arjun Shashidharan to please step forward. And our moderator for this session, Dr. Parthasarthi Rangarajan, to kindly please step forward. We can now have a group photo opportunity. I request everybody to please step forward for a group photo opportunity. Yes, I request some members to please join in. Yes, MR, EC and team, I request you to please join in. So this was the Musi regeneration and blue-green infrastructure in Hyderabad. What an interactive and I should say wonderful, interesting panel discussion that has been. Thank you so much to all our esteemed panelists here. Ladies and gentlemen, with that we move forward to lunch. I request you to kindly please reconvene. Please come back by 2:15 for our next session, which is Building Telangana's Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Ease of Doing Business 2.0. So I request you to kindly please come back, reconvene by 2:15. It's time now for lunch. We'll be waiting for you right here. 2:15 we begin with our next session, which is Building Telangana's Entrepreneurship Ecosystem and Ease of Doing Business. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Good morning to everyone. आज ये
later in the day, precisely at 6 o'clock, and I have been involved.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Good morning to everyone. आज ये स्पोर्ट्स का है तो एंकरेजमेंट तो चाहिए ना. Good morning. Thank you. ये अंग्रेजी में लिखा हुआ है, इसमें रख लेता हूँ. मैं 2 मिनट आपसे बात करता हूँ, सिर्फ 2 मिनट. सर तो बोले थे हमारे जय सर ने, मैं पुराना प्लेयर हूँ. अरे जब मंच के ऊपर हनुमान जी बैठा हुआ है, 1 2 3 4, उनके सामने हम छोटे छोटे बंदर हैं. वो देश के लिए खेले जो एक मंच आपके पास बैठा हुआ है. देखिए अजू भाई यहाँ पे, हमारे जदू जी है, और क्रिकेट मैं फैन हूँ. कुंबले जी यहाँ है, राइडू है, देखो हमारे चेयरमैन, कितने बड़े बड़े लोग यहाँ बैठे हुए. आज मैं ये बात बताना चाहता हूँ सारी दुनिया को, तेलंगाना भी एक ऐसा पोटेंशियल स्टेट है जहाँ मुख्यमंत्री अपना रेवंत रेड्डी साहब ने जो विजन से मुख्यमंत्री सर सब मिलके एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बनाना चाहते थे जो प्लेटफॉर्म जो 2036 में ओलंपिक्स में जैसा देश से या अपना तेलंगाना से कोई ना कोई मेडल इस बार जरूर जीतने का एक ख्याल रखते हुए काम कर रहे हैं। बस इसी के बदौलत हम ये प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट कर रहे हैं। हमारे स्पेशल चीफ सेक्रेटरी साहब बहुत ही गहराई से ये प्लेटफॉर्म को बनवाया है और हमारे सीएम साहब ने भी, जैसे हम एक तेलंगाना 13 को मेसी भी आने वाला है, मेसी से सीएम साहब का मैच भी होने वाला है। हम पूरा देश को ये बताना चाहते हैं कि तेलंगाना भी आज तैयार है मैदान में उतरने के लिए और तैयार है जीतने के लिए। वो दिन चले गए जब दुखी की बात होती है, सब लोग मिलकर बात करते थे। उस दिन हमारे प्रिय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बताया था इतना 140 करोड़ आबादी है इस देश में, जैसा 4 करोड़ आबादी है तेलंगाना में, जो पिछले ओलंपिक्स में हम एक भी मेडल नहीं जीत सके। बहुत गम से बोले थे, वो बात हम सबको दिल पे लग गया है और हम ये प्लेटफॉर्म सीएम कप ये माध्यम से हम गांव से लेके मंडल से लेके कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी, वहां से लेके डिस्ट्रिक्ट, वहां से लेके स्टेट्स और नेशनल इंटरनेशनल के माध्यम तक हर प्लेयर को मतलब ढूंढ के निकालना है और इस देश को बताना है तेलंगाना में भी ऐसे एक स्पोर्ट्स है जैसा हमारे पास अज्जू भाई है और हमारे पास अंबटी रायडू है, जो ये खेल पूरा विश्व को दिखाता है। जैसे हमारे प्यारी बहना भी बैठी है यहाँ पे और हमारे 2 बहनें बैठी हैं यहाँ पे, जो तेलंगाना का एक रौनक है, एक रोल मॉडल है। हम ये मंच से सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं और जो इसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट करते जो हर आदमी से हम रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं, किसी हाल में अब तेलंगाना आज 10 दिनों में अगर आप चाहे तो भी इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर सकते उतनी बड़ी संख्या में, जैसे हमने इससे पहले भी देखा टेनिस में भी अपना गोपी भाई बहुत अच्छा खेल खिलवा रहे हैं। తెలంగాణలో ఈసారి స్పోర్ట్స్ పట్ల ఒక పెద్ద ఎత్తున ఒక స్పోర్ట్స్ పాలసీ తీసుకొచ్చి గ్రామ స్థాయికి నుంచి క్రీడాకారుల్ని వెతికి మండల, నియోజకవర్గ, జిల్లా, రాష్ట్ర, దేశ స్థాయి వరకు వారిని వెతికి తీసి తయారు చేసి ఈ రాష్ట్రంలో ఉన్నటువంటి గ్రౌండ్స్ అన్నింటినీ కూడా ఇదివరకే జయచంద్రన్ గారి దగ్గర మేము చైర్మన్ గారు మిగతా మా స్పోర్ట్స్ టీమ్ అంతా అక్కడ కూర్చొని ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి గ్రౌండ్స్ ఎంతవరకు మనకు ఫిజికల్ గా ఫిట్ ఉన్నాయి, దాని తర్వాత కోచ్లు ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు, మనం కోచ్లను ఏ విధంగా ట్రైన్ చేయాలి, ఇక్కడ ఉన్న యువతకు ఏ విధంగా మనం సహకారం అందించాలి, ఓకే అనుకోవడం గొప్ప పని కాదు, దానికి ఫిజికల్ గా ఏం చేద్దాం అనేటువంటి ఒక ఆలోచనతో ఉన్నా కాబట్టి మరి నిన్ననే స్పోర్ట్స్ సంబంధించిన చాలా ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్స్ కూడా వచ్చాయి. మనం అందరం కూడా ఆలోచన చేయాలి. గ్రామ స్థాయిలో ఉన్నటువంటి క్రీడాకారుని వెతికితీసి ఈ దేశానికి కోసం ఆడిపించే విధంగా రాబోయే 2036లో ఒలింపిక్స్ లో ఖచ్చితంగా భారతదేశం లేదా తెలంగాణకి ఎటువంటి పరిస్థితుల్లో కూడా మెడల్ వచ్చే విధంగా మనం కార్యక్రమాలు తీసుకోవాల్సిందిగా మీ అందరితో కోరుతూ, దీనికి సంబంధించి మీ సలహాలు, సూచనలు లేదా వాళ్ళు భవిష్యత్తులో ఏం చేయాలనుకున్నారు, 2036లో ఏ విధంగా తెలంగాణ ఉండబోతా ఉంది, దాంట్లో ముఖ్యంగా స్పోర్ట్స్ లో ఏ విధంగా మనం ముందుకు రాణించాలి, అదే మాదిరి 2047లో మన స్పోర్ట్స్ లో ఏ స్థాయికి ఉండాలి. మనకంటే చిన్న దేశం, తెలంగాణ కంటే చిన్న దేశమైనటువంటి సౌత్ కొరియా మరి ఈరోజు 36 మెడల్స్ గెలుచుకున్నది. ఆ 36 మెడల్స్ గెలుచుకున్న దాంట్లో ఒక అమ్మాయి 3 మెడల్స్ గెలుచుకున్నది. మరి మనం ఎందుకు చేయలేమనేటువంటి ముఖ్యమంత్రి గారి ఆలోచన విధానం, తాపత్రయం అంతా కూడా ఈసారి సమ్మిట్ లో పెద్ద ఎత్తున స్పోర్ట్స్ పట్ల మంచి ఆలోచన చేసి ఒక మంచి ప్లాట్ఫామ్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలని చెప్పి అనుకున్న విధంగా ఈ కార్యక్రమం తీసుకుపోతున్నాం. కాబట్టి మీరందరూ కూడా ఈ కార్యక్రమం ఇచ్చేసినందుకు మీ అందరికీ కూడా, వేదిక అందరికీ కూడా, ముఖ్యంగా చైర్మన్ గారికి, మన జయ సంజయ్ సార్ గారికి నా మనస్ఫూర్తిగా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ కార్యక్రమాన్ని ముందుకు కొనసాగించవలసిందిగా కోరుతా ఉన్నా. జై హింద్.
Thank you so much.